Hey, what's up guys, Red Bishop here, and it's time for another video review, this time for an episodic game, and it's called Life is Strange from Dontnod Entertainment and Square Enix. If you're the type of person who has played an adventure game in the past 2 to 3 years from Telltale or anybody like that, you'll be familiar with Life is Strange. It still has some good quirks and some good gameplay mechanics in its own right, but for the most part, it's a similar adventure game to the likes of The Walking Dead or The Wolf Among Us. But I did mention that it has some stuff that sets itself apart from those games. So we'll get into that. First off, the game takes place in Oregon. It's an Oregon high school. You play as a female named Max, who is a photography student at the high school. And throughout your process there, you get to know, you're obviously the main character, but you get to know your classmates and your teachers and stuff like that. So I think the setting is, it's kind of unique for a video game. You don't see a ton of video games set around a high school atmosphere. And I feel like they do a good job of setting up the characters as well. There are some characters that are incredibly rude to you, and kind of like most high schoolers are. And they do a good job of writing those characters and setting them up and letting you realize, oh, this character is kind of rude. Or, oh, this character has a soft side. You just have to kind of get to know them a little bit. So I do feel like Dontnod did a great job writing for these characters. I know they're kind of a foreign developer, and U.S. high schools might be something of a weird thing for them to write about, but I feel like they do a very good job with that. And to get to the actual gameplay mechanics of the game, the main crux of it is you have the ability to rewind. So, kind of like a Telltale game, you get these choices. You can either hit A or B, or if you're on a different system, obviously it's different buttons, but you have A or B, and you have consequences with each of those actions. But what you can do in Life is Strange is after you hit the A button for the first choice, you can kind of see what the characters say and where the story might go. And it'll tell you, hey, you have a consequence, but if you want, you can rewind if you don't want to use that one. So you can kind of see what the other choice is and how it kind of may have repercussions from the rest of the story as well. So they kind of give you the option to view each outcome. Granted, you're not going to be able to see what happens 2 or 3 episodes down the line. You can't see any of that. But they give you the ability to see what will happen kind of right there in the near future. And I think that's cool. I think that kind of adds a new twist to it. And it's not just the choices you get to make. When you're talking to just individual characters in the world, so when you're just at the high school and you're just talking to your teacher, there's a time where he'll say like a John Lennon quote, and the game is kind of part of the tutorial. The game will tell you, hey, you should rewind. And when you rewind, you can then tell him that John Lennon quote, so then he kind of likes you a little bit more. You kind of in his favor a little bit. So there's stuff like that where again, it kind of brings back to the writing, but it also kind of helps with the gameplay as well. So the writing and gameplay kind of go hand in hand together, and I think that's incredibly well done by Dontnod. Now, since this is only the first episode of the game, we don't really know why Max, who I mentioned earlier is the main character, why she can do kind of that time travel stuff. We don't know if it's all in her head. We don't know if it's actually happening. We don't know any of that stuff yet. Obviously, we'll learn that as we progress through each episode. But I think the way they set up everything with the story, the way they set up kind of the gameplay stuff, is just really well done. And I think with games like this, adventure games, they kind of become kind of set in stone. They have a path they go on, they do this, they do that, and they do that with each new game. And I feel like Dontnod is definitely trying new stuff. They're stepping out of the box for them, but they're also stepping out of the box, I think, for adventure games in general, because they're not just sticking to that set path. They're doing their own thing. They're swerving left and then they're swerving right with their story and different gameplay mechanics and stuff like that. And I feel like this is what we need. We need games like this in this day and age. We don't want the same games over and over. We want new experiences, and we want new twists and stuff like that to go along with our games. And I feel like Life is Strange does that almost tenfold. And I with it only being the first episode, it really kind of made me think about it a little bit. Kind of, well, maybe if I were to rewound there and replay the other decision, maybe I would be better off. So it's another one of those games that gets you thinking, kind of makes you regret what you did. And at the end of the game, it does the same thing of, oh, well, you did this choice. This is how many the percent of the audience that played the game has also done this choice. So it does the same thing, kind of like the Telltale games do. And also in the game, with it being, a high school and Max being a photography student, there are optional photos you can take. Basically, it kind of unlocks different, snippets of the game, kind of behind the scenes stuff. So that's something that you can do. It's not mandatory. It's optional, and it's kind of what my one negative comes from for Life is Strange. Is I wish the camera, with her being a photography student, I wish the camera came into play a little bit more. I wish like there was certain things. like you were spying on people, you need to take a picture for evidence. I mean, that kind of comes into play a little bit. There's one scene in particular, but I feel like it's not enough. And maybe, in future episodes, they actually are able to do that. It's only the first episode. They'll listen to some audience feedback. They'll, and fix some stuff and improve some stuff. So maybe we'll see that a little bit more. But that's kind of my only negative. I think I mentioned earlier, the writing I think is outstanding. I think the gameplay holds up well. I think the art style is really well done. Yeah, the lip sync when they're talking is not the best, but honestly, it didn't bother me that much. I feel like the voice acting and stuff is enough for me to ignore the lip sync issues. But I just feel like Life is Strange is a game that people should try out. The first episode, it's $5. It's not like it's going to break the bank for most people. And I feel like I said, Dontnod is doing something unique and doing something that I think should be rewarded with people's time and money. And hopefully you'll check it out. But that's going to do it for the kind of video review overview of Life is Strange Episode 1. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching and thanks for listening.
The Max Caulfield Photo Memorial Wall.